Oh, come on, Livestream.
Where is?
Oh, there she is.
There
Oh,
you
yeah.
go. I'm like, whoa.
Oh, good morning, everybody. How are we doing today?
Dude, good morning. Now that we got everybody on screen,
Yeah.
look at
And-
that.
Doing
Look at
wonderful. Doing
look at all
wonderful.
the Christmas sweaters. I almost couldn't say that.
yeah, yes, we're nice and festive today. Because we are all in like snowland. I think we've got like 47 inches of snow or something like that up by us. It's crazy.
I have
But
2 inches.
two? All
Two.
right.
Just enough to be cute, you know?
I
Yeah.
have 0.
Well, we got a good foot already.
Yeah. I can't. It's not 47, but it feels like a lot.
And you've probably had 47 in the last week.
Yeah.
Just like-
Yeah. Well, welcome, Swetha. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me today. Really looking forward to the conversation.
Oh, this is fantastic. Swetha, do you want to introduce yourself to our audience?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Swetha Mannepalli. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager at Microsoft, supporting all things Microsoft Fabric. But a little bit of background before I moved into marketing, I started my journey as a data developer. Without, I think when I started, the companies that I worked with or supported as a data developer, they couldn't afford ETL tools. So we started off with the good old SQL, PL SQL, stored procedures and whatnot. I know most of you can attest to what that journey kind of looks like.
Yep.
And then worked on majority of the ETL tools before I made my way into the marketing world, product marketing world. And I'm excited every single day because Microsoft Fabric keeps innovating and catching up. It's amazing journey so far.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you're also the host of Fabric Tech Talk Fridays, right?
That is right. I cannot claim all of that as mine, Chris. Patrick LeBlanc plays a major role, and I'm so lucky to work with him.
Who?
Patrick LeBlanc, the OG, remember?
I've been here before.
I have to look that guy up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta get connected with him on LinkedIn.
Don't let
you
these
know?
guys be
Yeah.
He's just one of those people where he just had about 500,000 followers on YouTube. So yeah, you just have to look him up.
we know who Patrick is. Yeah.
Oh boy. Who doesn't know, Chris? Yeah.
So hey, you mentioned one of the things that you are doing is, we were talking about this before the show, was like,
Mhm.
what are some of the things that you do to try and keep up with everything going on inside this space?
That's a really good question. And I honestly want to hear in the chat if anybody mastered that art. I know there are many forums because, like I said, Fabric, we have amazing engineers and product managers who are absolutely creative. And every single day, there's something new that is coming up in the Fabric world. Being very close to the space, being in the product marketing where we have to breathe and live Fabric like most of us do, doing multiple things with Fabric on a day-to-day basis, it is not easy to keep up, but there are really good resources. Monthly blogs that Patrick and Adam put together are a great source for you to keep up with what is coming new. It could be a video blog that they post on the Microsoft Fabric YouTube channel. That's one way to look at it. The other thing is monthly blogs. And if you look at the drill down on, if you want to know about a capability in data engineering, what is happening in Fabric Spark, again, the world is your oyster in the Fabric world. So you can drill down on all these tech blogs that come on a monthly basis. But people like yourself, Chris, with things that topics and things that you bring to bear, really keep up with the latest and greatest. And of course, we have our Fabric conferences, one coming up. If you haven't already, I'm going to slice that in right here. FabCon Atlanta is in March. So that's another place where it is abundant information thrown at you during these conferences. Again, being in the world so close to the product teams, going to these conferences is such a breath of fresh air for me to see how much is happening and how people are interacting, MVPs, super users, how the community comes together to make these conferences what they are. So that's another great place. Ignite Build, of course, we have a great showcase of what is coming new. But yeah, these are some of the things that really things that I keep myself up, along with the Fabric Tech Talk Fridays that we produce every week, Chris. So I force myself to be in the learning curve.
I was going to say it should be a great plug for Fabric Tech Talk Fridays, right? Tune in every Friday there and here for Fabric Fridays.
100%.
Yeah, I do appreciate the plug for FabCon, and they added SequelCon on it, and so
That is important. Yes.
we've then added KratosCon onto it, so like you can like it's all these cons all in one place. Just buy one ticket, you get to attend all these different conferences. It's going to be amazing. So do
We're not
attend.
getting conned here, are we?
I'm still waiting for this con. Somebody's going to make con someday.
I'd be kind of surprised if it wasn't already a thing.
Well, Christina, you had said something about like how you keep up, and I thought that was a very interesting comment.
Oh, yeah. So I keep up by learning things. So, which sounds ridiculous, but hear me out. So the way that I learn the best is by trying things out. So if I hear about something and I have absolutely no thing to learn against, if I have nothing in my real world that's going to correlate to where I can learn that, what I do is I put together a presentation on it or a blog. And that's how I learn it. So for example, real-time analytics, I've had a lot of fun learning that and digging into it. Full transparency, I've never built one in production. And so I build it for these demos. I build it live on stage so that I have the opportunity to keep learning and keep figuring out what I would want differently. So pretty cool, but that's the way that I learn. Not everyone has time for it, but that is 100% a good way to make sure you know something is teaching it to someone else.
I absolutely love it. That's kind of why I do YouTube videos, is the same force myself into learning something. But I think one of the more important things that everyone needs to learn is learning how to learn and how you learn best. Because some of us watching this, hey, videos are great. We adapt that way. Others work by doing it. Others work by reading. Others work by a combination thereof. But whatever works best for you, lean in on that. Don't listen like it. Oh, okay, I learned best by creating a video, or by Christina by creating a training program, or Kevin through osmosis, right?
I know it's in the bottom of this whiskey bottle somewhere.
Yes. But do what's best for you, right? Because I think everyone has their own patterns that like work best for you. And I think that actually leads us right into what we're here for. We're going to be talking about how do companies adopt in and start using Microsoft Fabric, right? What patterns are out there? And Swetha, you've done a lot of work in this space. And do you want to like kind of bring us and introduce this to us?
Absolutely, Chris. So what I am excited almost every day in the past year or so, things evolve. Like I said, from our roles and responsibilities perspective, I took up on the customer evidence lead journey recently for Microsoft Fabric, and oh boy, that's such a transformational journey for myself, because you're not only close to the customers, but you also are bringing their stories, their journey within Fabric to life for many people to adopt. Because if you think about it, you don't want to be the salesperson tooting your horn all the time on how great your product is. But if you know customers are using it to problem solve in their organizations, so those are the stories that we want to tell. We want real customers who are using and taking advantage of the products and technology that we put together at Microsoft for their advantage, so other customers in the same industry or across the board can take advantage of those. So I see you dropped the link in the chat. Chris, I'm going to talk about it before I drill down on what are the patterns that we are observing.
Yes.
So if you click on the link, it's customers.microsoft.com. And if you look for Microsoft Fabric, you see tens of stories that have already been published. And this product is just 2 years old in the market, but it's amazing to see the number of customers that adopted very early on, leading up to probably 1.5 years since now, which means 6 months that the product is in the market. People have already put these things into production, and now we are seeing enterprise scale adoption. And I want to start with 5 top patterns that we are observing, Chris. And Christina, I know we were just talking about some of these things. I'll start with OneLake as a data foundation. So we all know, we talk about, oh, OneLake is this really magical lake that, everything, you can dump everything there, and it doesn't allow you for duplication. You can avoid all the data silos. See, the pain points that everybody in the data field can attest to: copies and copies and copies of data. But we talk about OneLake day in, day out. But if you take an example as LSEG, London Stock Exchange, it's huge. It's the financial institution, the backbone of pretty much everything that dictates the financial world out there. There's so many customers that depend on the amount of data, the quality of the data that they produce. It cannot go wrong. And they adopted Fabric as their OneLake data foundation. And they are serving, like, they are bringing in data from 30 different disparate systems. So it is massive. And we are talking about enterprise scale here with London Stock Exchange. And they are also integrating 1,200 data sets regularly. And when I was going through the story with them to bring it to life and publish on our customers.microsoft.com, it blew my mind on the amount of information that they are dropping into OneLake, how they are really using Microsoft Fabric for their advantage, and for hundreds or thousands of customers that they serve. It's really mind-blowing to see how OneLake really is the star of their show. Now, one of the other things...
So hang on one second. I've got a question for you there. Okay. So if the London Stock Exchange is using OneLake as a primary source for sharing information, does that mean that there's and I've not heard any announcement of this, so like I don't think this is an NDA, but are we able to like get that someplace? Like, I would like to be able to go to OneLake and subscribe to these things. Is that something I can do, or is it just London Stock Exchange customers?
Repeat your question again, Chris. I want to understand before I give you the options.
Right. So, like, I would love to be able to build out my own custom analytics on the stock market and what's going on there, right? I don't want to go and gather all that data myself. I've looked at it. It's a lot of work. I'm not going to do it, right? I've done it a couple times for like a handful of stocks, but like it didn't work well enough for me. Is there a place in OneLake, or could there be a place in OneLake where people could like sell a subscription to something like that, so that you could get stock information and data flowing through that you could make predictions off of? Is that a thing right now today, or no?
I do not think that's a thing right now. But I love where you're going with that, Chris. See, these are some of the things. The ideas.fabric.com, I believe the link is. Drop your idea in, and if people upvote, that could be a thing in the future. I don't want to misquote, but definitely that's not a thing today.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. That's
super cool idea, though. I love that. Because can you imagine being able to, even if you're an ISV and you host data, and being able to sell a subscription to your OneLake?
Exactly. Though that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sorry.
So yeah.
Sorry.
No worries at all. This is a great question and great segue. I also want to talk about 2 more examples in the OneLake data pattern that we're looking. IFS is another example. Again, they boost their analytics about 325%, if I'm not mistaken, with the metrics. But you have all that information on the link that is in the chat, so please check it out. There's another example. Lumen.
Oh, hang on one second. I want to talk about the IFS solution, because I happen to know a lot about it, and I am in love with IFS's solution. It is fantastic. They've been strong Microsoft partners for a long time, and they're an ERP system, and they help companies manage that stuff. And the integration with various ERP systems is not great. But with IFS, they have done so much of the work for you that it's just it's honestly, it's awesome. It's not all the work, right? Like they can't do everything, right? Like you're going to customize your stuff, and so then you're going to have to customize some of the stuff. But like you could easily trim 5 years off of your data journey by using the IFS, because they're all running on Microsoft MSBI Stack, now on OneLake and Fabric, and it just makes it so much easier to get up and running, which is really critical for a lot of companies that don't necessarily have large data teams or large data staffs. To be able to just like jump forward 5 years is awesome. Sorry. That's the advantage of OneLake, right? Like it's all in one consumable place. So.
And I also love the fact, the background that you gave, Chris, is how IFS keeps up with moving from SSIS, where I think this is something that most of us probably started during our careers, in the data careers. I know Patrick constantly keeps saying, I'm from the 1900s. I cannot claim the same, but definitely, the early adopters of the ETL patterns, ELT patterns, definitely we must have started with SSIS, SSRS, but for them to move through the journey along with MSBI Stack is amazing to learn. And that's exactly what we do at Microsoft, is bringing that innovation, but also empowering organizations to do better, to really upskill, not from a skilling perspective, but also really take advantage of the ROIs and what business value this is going to bring.
Yeah.
So we talked about OneLake as one of the patterns. Now I want to move to real-time intelligence. I know everybody, it's like real-time intelligence, it was there. It was there all along. But I think recently with Microsoft Fabric, this has really went into
real-time intelligence was not there all along. There was a desire for that all along, but
you could make it happen. Yeah.
Usually an unrealistic desire for it.
Right.
Yes. Yes, that is great to say.
I want my sales numbers to be real time.
Yes.
I know. We keep calling it as, I will give you real time, but we slide in that near real time, and that near real time could be seconds, milliseconds, minutes, because it is perception at that point. What is near real time?
And sometimes it's hours. When I would say real time, I want my data today. I'm like, okay, good. I can give you that.
Problem solved. Very easy.
As long as the time to get the data is shorter than the time it takes to fill a ticket and get a response, it's real time enough, is my theory, right? So
not a bad metric.
Like if you can't complain fast enough, like, hey, where's my numbers not there? Like, show me. Oh, I guess it's there now. Okay. Yeah.
That's how I feel about OneDrive. Just sync.
Yeah. Why isn't there a button for that? Sync. This one. Right now, this file, not the other files, this file. Sorry,
we're going on a tangent.
Yeah.
No, all good points. But yeah, real-time intelligence is another adoption pattern that we have observed lately. So much so that many of our customer stories in the past 6 months at least are pretty much focused on real-time intelligence, because we're seeing that much of adoption in real-time intelligence when it comes to Microsoft Fabric. And to name, the top that comes to mind, and I love one of these stories even more so, is Apollo Hospitals, Q-Cells, and Valamar. Three different sectors. If you think about it, real-time intelligence is not just pertaining to one industry. It's not just manufacturing that needs real-time data, but it's also across all these different industries. If you see the three that I mentioned, one is sustainability, Q Cells, Handwork Q Cells, which is again based out of here in Irvine, California. We did a customer story recently with them, and it is one of those stories where again they are trying to bring real-time data to serve their audience. So that's a really good story from a sustainability angle also. The other story is Apollo Hospitals. I think I mentioned this in the full-blown episode that we did with Apollo Hospitals. Apollo Hospitals is a household name for someone like me who comes from South India. We grew up with Apollo Hospitals. Whether you have a grandma, moms, dads, us, everybody are associated with, oh, let's go to hospital, is Apollo Hospitals for us. Now for us to see how they are using Microsoft Fabric, especially real-time intelligence in Fabric to do patient outcomes, is really the story that resonates with me. Again, growing up, learning, and how technology and your real life, they're not different. Somewhere there's a convergence, and not all the time that we have the pleasure and luxury to say, yes, I have seen that converge in real time. And this is one of those stories for me where patient outcomes is top of mind, and how real-time intelligence is influencing those decisions is a great story to talk about.
Well, I would love to hear more about how they're leveraging real-time intelligence towards patient outcomes, as well as integrating Copilot chat features and functionalities in with that. Because I don't know about you, but I've seen some doctors and nurses have the best of intentions, right? But unfortunately, they're all human, and they can only take in so much stuff at one point in time. And I've seen just lots of doctors and nurses get overwhelmed and miss things that are being said that are more important than others. I would love to hear how is Microsoft and Fabric helping address those challenges and with that integration.
So I'll talk about how the patient outcomes is influenced by real-time intelligence. Again, using Microsoft Fabric the example that was quoted or highlighted here is during COVID. There was a bed. The number of beds that are available has been a challenge. Now, today, with real-time intelligence with Microsoft Fabric, if you walk into Apollo Hospitals, you exactly know for an emergency room how many beds are available. So you're really, it's that directly connected, and they have bigger and better ambitions when it comes to patient care. So this is just one example of many in that segment. But I also want to go back to your comment, Chris, on there's a ton of paperwork. How do we capture all of that? There's a lot of cognitive services within Azure AI that are available. Again, this is not new in the cognitive services space, but what is new is the pace of innovation on how you're adopting with all the real-time scenarios that we see is where the change is happening. And again, Apollo Hospitals is one such example, and the patient outcomes tied to the bed availability is a great use case on how you're not making the patients wait. And we all know, I have been to emergency for little things, and I cannot imagine and empathize with the real situations where it is life or death. And that's where technology has to come to play and really make a difference. And in this case, we are proud to say that it is with real-time intelligence in Microsoft Fabric.
Nice. So, Chris, I think also because you brought up Copilot, and my wife had to go visit a new doctor for something, and I'm pretty sure it was Copilot, but she was using it for her own note taking. And so when she came into the exam room, they asked, are you okay with this listening? And so then this listened to the whole conversation and then summarized the notes for on the record for like what you were saying is, you're listening, but you only catch so much, or you get distracted or something, so I'm starting to see that show up just in my own real life type of thing. So
Honestly,
Yeah.
that's
It's pretty
huge.
cool.
I have
Yeah.
a friend of mine who she works with codes for insurance companies, and she said doctors are the worst at putting in the correct codes for things. And so she's constantly spending hours and hours and hours chasing down the correct codes, making sure it's right. If something like Copilot could just assign the right code based on the notes or flag it for them originally or something, I mean, it would save people thousands of hours a month that could be used elsewhere, like doing her
Yeah.
actual job, which is not to chase down doctors for codes. So
Yeah, that I bet you that's starting to happen. I worked at a company that had a medical coding company as well, and they've always had that challenge. I don't know the people. I haven't talked to the people there for a while, but I bet you they're starting to look into, because you're right, with the get the note taking and then just
Yeah.
feed that through and say what are the actual codes. I could see that.
Well, I'm
Mhm.
just really impressed that like Epic Systems, which is what powers all of
Mhm.
these hospitals, they've built that into it, and you'll just see like these little like Copilot little like icons and like summaries start to come out from conversations and whatnot. Like I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I can almost guarantee no nurse types that many notes after you're done talking with them. So it's
they don't have
exciting.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But that's the big thing that I think is exciting about this is
Yeah.
all this technology is converging, right? We're bringing the data together in one lake. We're putting it directly integrated with tools like Copilot and data in Fabric, and that means all of these solutions are starting to become possible. Where
Mhm.
they were challenges for 50 years of our life, now there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right?
well,
Yeah.
not for
And I
50
also
years of
add in,
everybody's life, but
Yeah.
maybe years in mine.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
I don't know either. Just saying something. I usually don't know what I'm trying to say.
He's pulling us
I also want to add in, Chris, with all the stack that you mentioned,
Uh-huh.
throw in AI Foundry. So that's another, because what we are doing at Microsoft is not giving these tools, but we are integrating it within our own company, and we are using these Lego pieces
Mhm.
to plug in together for how they're solving Microsoft problems and challenges as a company, because it's a company with hundreds of employees and their data. So we are actually doing this before we go share this. We are coming up with Microsoft customer zero stories
Mm.
on how we are using these Lego pieces together to problem solve our own challenges before we put it out in the world. So that's another good point to add, that all these Lego pieces are coming together really, really well.
Yeah, and that's why we call it Fabric IQ, right?
Yes, 100%.
Really?
Yes.
I have no idea what Fabric IQ is. So
Thanks.
that is the beauty of going back to how do you keep up with learning. Is Ignite is when it got announced,
Yeah.
and we are less than a month into it, and we are already seeing customers trying to adopt to Fabric IQ. We have already hundreds of customers in public preview using Fabric IQ for their own advantage. So more success stories are on the way for Fabric IQ, now that you mentioned.
I'm excited. I literally have no idea what it does or where you go. Where would I click to get an IQ? Like so, but that's a completely different podcast.
You need a whole new episode, and we would love to bring folks who can really do the deep dive.
Yes.
I look forward to that.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can we schedule it for next week?
Let's see. We'll throw the challenge out there to
Whoever
I
wants
forget
to
her
come
name.
on and explain it to us,
Yes. Yeah.
like
yeah.
a 5-year-old.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
awesome.
true.
Okay.
So yeah, I know we talked about 2 patterns so far,
Yes.
Chris.
Yep.
Now we have 3 more.
Well, hang on a second here before we dive
Yes.
into the
Uh-huh.
third
You want to
pattern.
keep up.
If you want to try and keep up with this stuff and you need a boost, this is where Neuro Energy comes in, right? A little bit of Neuro Gum gives you caffeine, L-theanine, and B vitamins for clean energy without the jitters. Nero Gum. Use Kratos BI at checkout for 0% off. As always, they are not a sponsor. I just really like the gum, so thank you.
And while we're in a distraction, I did put a link down into our little private link area. There is a section on the London Stock Exchange to request data from them.
Ooh.
So
Really?
yeah, I'm sure you have to pay, right? I mean, that's how they stay in business. But
See, we are talking about real-time intelligence, Kevin, and you were able to do things in real time.
yeah,
Solving
you notice I went quiet for quite a while. I was reading their website. So.
that is a great attestation of how real-time works.
There you go.
Yeah. Awesome.
Before
awesome.
Chris could
All
look
right.
it up. That's real time.
Exactly.
Real time learning, real time this, real time that. Everything.
Okay, so we hit the 2 adoption patterns so
Yes.
far. One
Yes.
Lake, real-time intelligence. What's number 3?
So modernizing your data warehouse and data estate.
Mm.
So I know anytime we talk about data, at least in the past 15 years, data warehouse is even before that, but I'll talk about the number of years that I know. 20 years, you are building these legacy data warehouses, be it SSIS, AS, or putting cubes on top of it, or any ETL tools that are out there in the market. Oracle Warehouse Builder at one point, Oracle Data Integrator, Informatics, you name it. The ETL tools that you probably might have used to build these legacy data warehouses, then they're not going to go away, but they are serving the purpose. But how do you really modernize them is where Fabric Data Warehouse comes into play. And if you've already been using Azure Data Factory or Azure Synapse Analytics, it is a real upgrade to how you can take what you currently have in the Microsoft ecosystem and bring it to Fabric to take advantage of all the AI capabilities. Because if you notice any of our architecture diagrams, AI is not a bolt-on; it's actually a built-in. Across Microsoft Fabric stack, you have AI in every layer that you take. So that's the innovation and advantage that you can really take from all the legacy data warehouses that you probably might have put together in the past decades. Now, 3 examples that come to mind are Eastman Chemicals, and also I want to highlight Dentsu, who is a big Azure Synapse Analytics shop, and how they moved to Fabric Data Warehouse, and how they are seeing the gains in terms of their ROI is tremendous. Con Group is another one. Again, these 3 examples really give you the drill down on how they are taking their existing legacy data warehouse systems and taking advantage of the AI ready, because AI has been there, weather reports, anything that you think about. But why AI has become so common with everything that we do today is because of the advent of AI in every which way that we think, and it is driving us today, whether you like it or not. I think we all have to get to a comfort zone on AI is not going to go away. But how do you take advantage of AI in a responsible way is where when you're building or designing systems. So those are some of the things from a legacy perspective. I think we all might have to take a step back and see, how do you make your legacy data systems be AI ready with tools that are available to you. And Microsoft Fabric is a great place to bring that AI infused layer for your legacy systems. So these 3 are the customers that have really done a phenomenal job in doing so, Chris. The other example, again, drill down on the Eastman Chemical. See, if you look at Eastman Chemical, what they have done is they brought their SQL data estate.
Well,
Plus,
hang on, but before we drill much more into that, can we talk about okay, so your legacy tools, and we were having this conversation, or I was starting to have this conversation on LinkedIn the other day, where someone said like, "Oh, nobody should be running SSIS or like old school Informatica anymore, and you should be on a modern stack. I'm like, wow, that's nice to say, but what do you say to a company that has 20 years of development on the SSIS packages? I've got
Mhm.
50,000 SSIS packages that have been up and running and are in place. You can't just pitch those out the window. How does Microsoft help in these situations and Fabric help in companies that want to evolve away from that, but can't simply just push a button and drop 50,000 code bases or push a button and like there's no Python button. Like I can't just push a button and SSIS rewrites itself into Python. How is Fabric helping in these situations?
That's a great question, Chris. So again, our PM product managers are really hard at work in making sure how do you, because we don't want any customer to be left behind. So we constantly think about how do we bring them along this innovation journey. And I cannot share much on what is happening, but definitely that is one of the things that is in works on how do you bring SSIS packages at the click of a button, so to speak, because that's what we did with Azure Data Factory. It's a click of a button and you bring all your Data Factory instances into Fabric Data Factory. So keep a lookout. It could be sometime because that is something that is top of mind to see how we can bring SSIS customers to Fabric. So that is definitely top of mind, and work is underway.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That was in an article, right, Chris? Is that where the discussion that you were getting into? Because I don't think I've read that article, but there was an article Microsoft put out that was talking about the direction of SSIS, and that it definitely isn't going away. I saw it on my LinkedIn feed, but I may have just clicked it to read later or something. Right.
Oh, I got into it with some people on LinkedIn. One
okay.
of those.
But you're referring to that article, right?
I honestly, I don't.
No?
I don't think.
Okay.
It was
maybe
about,
I'll look to see if I can find the article real quick. But,
that would be amazing.
Yeah. But I mean, because it's part of what just rolled out with 2025 SQL Server 2025. And basically it was saying, we're not going to abandon SSIS, right? But look for ways to get it up, because I think you're spot on. I mean, you got all this development that has happened in it. You can't just abandon it, right? And the first is that that's the article. Yeah. And you say you try to get it up to 2025 of SQL Server, right, which has better mirroring capabilities built into it. That's one way to get you quickly up into Fabric, and then enable the AI features that are up in Fabric from there. So,
ooh, look at this SSIS lift and shift capabilities.
There we go.
Yeah,
I thought I'm spilling the bean, but it's out there for the public to know. Wonderful.
Well, okay, and so Swetha, like as an MVP and as a Microsoft partner, we have a lot of insights into stuff that's upcoming. So we all have NDAs and whatnot in place, and it's often very hard for us to track, like, what do we know that we can't talk about, and what can we talk about? These
or what
things
can we talk about that we don't know?
Right. Do you have any secret of how you keep track of the things that you know that are NDA that you can't talk about, or are you just flying by the seat of your pants like we are?
So because again, I have the privilege to be in the product marketing world, and I exactly get plugged in to some of these forums internally on, hey, what is baking, what is cooking, what are we locking for the next 6 months in terms of Fabric roadmap. Though the Fabric roadmap is available for the public to see, there are things that happen a year behind the scenes on how we are really tracking. And part of that journey, we also, from a product manager's perspective, from the engineering teams, they're very, very diligent on looking at the ideas and that's what really dictates the roadmap. So the 6 months out, we know what is coming out, but you cannot really say much until it is out in the public. Like you said, Chris, it's embargoed, and you really have to wait for the feature to be made. And oftentimes in the journey of bringing these features to life is, it's in private preview. You get the feedback whether it is great, it is working out for the customers, or it is really crappy, that it's just not solving anything for the customer, it's not a value add. So you go back to the drawing board on, okay, now let's redo this thing. This is the feedback that we got from private preview, and this is how it's going to shape out for public preview. So those are some of the things that are hush hush until we know exactly what is going to stay, not to confuse customers and the broader audience.
Right.
And for those who don't know, this is the Microsoft Fabric roadmap, and holy cow! There, come on, Cosmos DB, get up! Yeah, we're doing it live, So, well, look at all this. Ooh, JDBC drivers public preview. Sorry. But here, custom live pools. So just lots of fun stuff out here.
Yeah. So this is what dictates, again, 6 months prior, we know what is coming out. And again, huge shout out to the Fabric engineering teams. I don't know if they sleep at all, but it is amazing with the amount of information and features that they constantly put out is phenomenal. That is how I want to answer your question. Hope I answered your question, Chris.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Now, I have 2 more patterns.
Okay, let's go into. Yeah, let's do that.
Perfect. So the 2 more patterns, they're pretty common. I think every customer journey probably would have touched one of these 2 patterns that I'm about to mention. One is, you are a Power BI customer and you're making your way into Microsoft Fabric. So that is another very, very common adoption pattern that we have seen since day one of Fabric taking its shape. Definitely Power BI customers, we have about 300,000 customers worldwide for Power BI, even more. I might be giving the 300,000 since a few months back number. But those are all the customers that are slowly but steadily making their way into Microsoft Fabric, and that's a common pattern. The fifth pattern, the final pattern, we already touched some of these things in the 2 patterns that I covered, is how do you get your data estate modernized, but also AI ready. And some of the things that I want to call out here is chat with your data agents, Copilot. So these are some of the things that really are not just out there for the fancy AI stuff, but they are really reducing the development life cycle by tons of percentage. And one example that I want to quote is, let me think about the customer, but they save 10,000 hours of development time. I know it is okay. I need to give you the name of the customer. I saw all the expressions. I'm like, okay, I got to get this name. But yeah, that customer really, okay, it is Lumen. It is Lumen. Yes. So 10,000 manual work hours, and then 6 hours per day of copying data into SQL Server. So look at the amount of energy that is being invested for redundant tasks. That's all gonna be replaced, and it's already proven that it is being replaced with Microsoft Fabric. From a developer productivity perspective, the ROI is your cost savings on how you are serving your larger business outcomes. Is, again, these are all the AI ready. When you talk about AI ready, these are the outcomes that you're really talking to when you are serving your broader customer base. Again, data agents is just gonna really integrate very well with the chat. The features where AI really shines is chat with your data, Copilot, data agents. It's again is gonna only get better as we are just scratching the surface on all of these.
I mean, this this is fantastic, Swetha. And I think one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure we not just highlight some of these people, right? Like these 5 adoption patterns are really good. You should know these because you can use these in your organizations as to like how you can adopt fabric, things you can adopt, how you can do that. But these customer success stories are basically, I almost, I think of them as hero stories, right? Like, we read about the heroes in this world, and there's Wolverine and Superman and all that stuff, and they're fighting bad guys. But these are the heroes in our data world that are taking on common challenges that we have, and they're using tools that are at our disposal in new and unique ways to save 10,000 hours. And what does that mean? That means to you and me, maybe we save 10,000 hours of like all these people that are doing things, or maybe we can do that project that our companies always wanted to do, but never had the 10,000 hours in order to do it. Right now, instead of having to get funding to like, hey, I need to hire 15 or I need 10,000 hours is 5 people for a year, right? So that's what that is,
That's
right?
too
So
much math.
instead of 5 full-time hires,
He's had his
I'm
neuro
gonna-
gum today,
Yeah. He just took some, so he could do this math pretty quickly.
yeah, that's right. Nero gum will help.
Sorry, Chris. You're good.
Kratos BI 0% off, not a sponsor. But that's what the advantage is of reading these stories, because sometimes people come to me and they're like, well, okay, yeah, Fabric's great, but I've got a SQL database. It's been running on my desktop in the office. It's been running for 12 years. That desktop has been really solid. I don't see any problems with that desktop. I'm sure it will run for another 12 years. Wink, wink. Why would I make a switch, right? And it's through these stories, it's through these examples where we can find that motivation for why we should do something. And I find them really interesting to read up and understand what's going on there, just like I do with like Wolverine and Superman. So
That's
Well,
right.
it's one of those like just the ever popular, like again, stories, which I know is the big thing that I talk about all the time. I mean, this is why it's so important, because I think it's too easy for us to just look within the scope of our organization, and within your organization, you're doing your day in and day out thing, right? But at some point, like that's what data is all about. It's about looking outside of your innate perception, and in doing that, not only are you seeing what others are doing, but that should be triggering ideas in your mind of, well, could we do things differently? That's where innovation innately comes from, is seeing things outside of what you're doing today. So doing something like this is fantastic because, one, stories are the best way to convey information, but two, it's showing what is possible for some people who need maybe that little extra coaxing to say, take a look outside of what you're doing today and experiment with what you could be doing today.
So I have a question to go back to some of the use cases. The Power BI customers going to Fabric, we're doing it live. Was there any common pattern of maybe like the first Fabric item that they picked up on, or anything that in the stories that you've seen?
Oh,
That's a good question, Kevin. One thing where Power BI customers really start is, again, One Lake, and the direct lake mode is something that is, of course, probably by now everybody knows lightning fast speed and how you can really get to value and real insights super fast is one thing that comes to mind. One Lake, and also the lake house pattern. So that's another thing that we have observed quite a bit with Power BI customers moving to Fabric.
Okay. Kind of help solving some of their, maybe data engineering that has happened somewhere else, and bringing it into the one platform, right? And getting to the One Lake and everything. And I think that's just a huge thing for, a lot of Power BI customers. And because I don't, work for Microsoft, I could say this too. it's a lot of things for Tableau customers too, because I've done a migration from Tableau to Fabric and Power BI, and I've talked to a lot of people that are trying to do the same thing. So that's a good thing. I know you're probably not going to have a success story on that, but
Awesome.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, Chris,
Mhm.
all the 5 patterns that we talked about. The One Lake as your data foundation. Real-time intelligence is another pattern. The third pattern is data warehouse modernization.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth pattern is Power BI to Fabric.
Okay.
The fifth pattern is how do you take your entire data estate and think about modernizing it, not for the sake of modernizing, but to make it AI ready with all the goodness and greatness that we just talked about.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that might be the number one reason we're talking with people about getting into Fabric and doing stuff in Fabric. I like as a consultant, I talk to customers like all day, every day, and like everyone is trying to figure out how do we get AI to look at our data and produce information in a reliable fashion that we can count on, depend on. And I think one of the only ways we can do that is to make sure that the AI is just looking at the proper curated data and not just looking at random Excel spreadsheets crammed into SharePoint. I mean,
Who
that
would
works
do that?
great when there's one Excel spreadsheet. When there's tens of thousands of them, it does not work great. So,
And I also want to go back to what our CVP Arun and Kim and all these leaders from our marketing side, Jessica. So these are all the people that started with AI is as good as your data, and we know that. But if you keep saying it 10 times more, I think that sticks in, where you put garbage in, you get garbage out. And going back to your question, and Chris, you don't do AI as your first step. Get your data foundation ready
yep.
for your AI to work in your favor. Otherwise, it's garbage in, because you haven't really looked at the strategy and your data foundation before you started adding fluff to it.
Yeah.
And I think the important thing there is it's not about the platform move. It's about moving to a platform that enables you to manage your data better. Like it's still the same data management problem that we've been trying to solve for pretty much since the data industry began being its own industry, is how do you effectively manage your data? A tool like Fabric is going to make it easier to manage your data, not that you can't manage it without.
Yeah. Well, and it gives you that vital semantic layer that defines the relationships between your data. I've seen other tools and other platforms, they're coming out here saying, oh, well, their tools can't figure out how to navigate joins and relationships. So they're saying, no, just dumb down and simplify your data and, like aggregate your data for the AI to, to be able to like run over. Well, they're missing the whole, like they're just simply trying to come up with a workable solution without a semantic model. If you have a semantic model, it defines those relationships. It defines how things should interact together. And that's where like you get real insights and analytics. And I think that's where like tools like data agents come into play, that Microsoft has curated and put together. And if you're not familiar with the data agent, they're freaking brilliant. You should start using data agents today, because it allows a chat interface directly over your semantic model, over predefined queries to your silver and bronze layers, and predefined queries to even your back end logs and performance metrics and stuff like that. So like people can go in and start to ask questions like, tell me about my sales, tell me about my order processing and what's going on, tell me why my reports aren't here, right? All in one one portal, one place, asking those questions. And I think that's really at the heart of one of the things that, you know, like companies are striving for, is it broadly addresses all of those needs for insights that the typical business user is looking for. And that's all in Fabric, right?
I think
All
a
there.
key part of that is you have to figure out, you have to remember LLMs, the way they work is by vectors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you provide it with those relationships, it just enhances the vectors that it's creating. So it's just adding a whole nother dimension, literally, to these calculations that a lot of other tools don't have. So
And I will be amiss if we don't mention data governance to all things, Chris, you just mentioned. So
Yeah.
what you're really doing is you're governing your data in the best ways possible. If you're saying, what is my sales number? It is the same sales number across the board. You don't have a sales number as a different business unit versus, I know there are reasoning codes and things that you want to filter out, but when you talk about the gross number or the annual revenue, I don't think those numbers should change no matter what. And you're really bringing that data governance aspect into play.
Yeah, if you're looking at a
Amen.
number at a department level or something, right? And you got to it a different way than your regular semantic model, you have no way to track back to it. There's so many times where somebody, you know, like in a report that was put together off of a base semantic model that we had, they're like, well, why is this number here? And then we just start taking filters off. We get back, we go, look, we're back to the same number that we all agreed upon. And this is why you changed it to this. And it's so much easier to explain it when you could show them something that you ground on. So
and I'll give you an example. This was 10 years ago when I was working on an ETL project. Same thing. I was thrown a report and asked to go figure out what is the genesis of this report. And it's an onion peel. I'm not kidding.
Mhm.
Excels and Excel. This mapping calls a stored procedure that calls a function. Why? Because somebody thought that is the right way to do in the past, because for whatever skill up reasons or the work demanded such way, I do not have any idea, but it's an onion peel to get to how this particular column is baked is 10 steps behind the scenes, and it is not easy, and that's not the right way to do. And all things that you mentioned, Christina and Chris and Kevin, that really problem solves on how do you put these governance in place.
Well, Swetha, we're exceedingly grateful that you were able to wake up
This was
way
great.
before dawn and join us so early. We are at the end of our session together here today. Do you have, what parting words do you have for our audience who are tuning in or watching this in the future?
I just wanted to, again, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity. Hope I'm not sleep talking. I'm fully awake.
Your alarm's
You're-
about to go off, and we're going to have to do this
you're-
all over again.
You were as coherent as the rest of us, so you're fine.
That's great. So yeah, one thing that I want to leave everybody who is tuned in is look at all the customer stories for Microsoft Fabric by far, and you will know how and organizations are taking advantage across industries. If you have an idea, I know we talked about it. If you have an idea, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Rinse and repeat is the first way to think about it. Probably somebody somewhere already might have solved your problem. Take advantage of that by looking at the customer evidence that we are putting out.
That's spot on. And as always, make sure if you found this video useful or enjoyable, if you're still hanging in there, hit that like button. Make sure you throw a comment down below. Share it with the people inside your organization, because it does help us feed the logarithm. And I should probably have said that way earlier, but I'm a bad YouTuber. So what are you going to do? Thank you guys all so very much for joining us. You have the best day ever. Peace.
Bye.
Baker Tilly Digital combines strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.